Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you being here. Today we're going to tie a jig I've never tied before. Up until about 3 seconds ago, I wasn't sure what I was going to tie. So this is going to be a little bit of an experiment, I suppose, a bit of a Frankenstein type of jig, I suppose. What we're going to do is we're going to use a piece of mini dragon tail for the tail. And then we are going to dub in with a dubbing loop. We're going to mix some ice dub copper, hairline ice dub copper, with some raccoon tail. And what we're going to do with the raccoon tail is I'm going to try my best to get the darker pieces of raccoon tail so that it matches better with the black. And then we might color that off with some black marabou. I have no idea how that's going to look. It might be ridiculous, but we're going to try something different. And that's sort of what I like about jig tying. Unfortunately, I only have 140 black thread here, ultra thread. I'd prefer 210 denier, obviously, but I don't have that. So anyways, stick around and let's get to tying. All right, so we're just going to start by laying in our base with thread here. And give that a snip, and then we'll tie in our little piece of dragon tail here. I strip back some of the, because this is obviously quite, if I would just tie it like this, it's quite bulky, so I've stripped down some of it, and we're going to go with that just about there. Tie in those threads, and I'm going to actually tie that further down, making sure it doesn't twist around the shank of the hook too much. So that I want it still sitting on top nicely. And given that I'm only tying with 140, I'm sure my thread will break off here and there. Hopefully it won't, but I might mix in some tie it off once in a while. But we'll get that in there good and proper. Maybe I'll give this little white piece a snip here. All right, and then I'll bring that down to here, and then we're going to make, next up is we're going to make our dubbing loop. But I'll first show you what we're doing here and how I lay out my stuff for what I'm doing. Yeah, so I'll just show you here real quick how I have things laid out. I apologize for the horrible lighting. But I just have them already pre-cut into clumps. So I got like 4 clumps, raccoon underneath, and then I just layer the copper dubbing right on top. And then it's easy, I just pick up a clump and put it in the dubbing loop, and away we go. All right, so now we're ready to make our dubbing loop. So I've got my dubbing loop tool here, and it's been a while since I've done this, so I just go make a loop with my fingers first, and I go back over the place where I was, and then I'm going to advance the thread up to the base of the ball head here. And so here I have my loop, and then I got my tool here, so I'm going to hook the loop into my tool. Okay, so now I'm just going to add in my material, and I keep a space there with my finger in the loop. I'm just going to grab the bunch like that and put it in. And it is a bit, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how well this copper material holds. And then I'll add in that piece. And I'm sure people have much better ways of doing this than I do, which is great. Because it's just trial and error, mostly error. But yeah, that's how you learn. I find, so raccoon and coyote hair, or coyote fur, I suppose, sticks in really, really nice. And I love using that for doing a dubbing loop. All right, and then we're just going to twist, and we're going to see how this goes here. Might be a bit of a disaster, but we'll see. Fragments of things are flying everywhere. And we're going to twist that up. And then what? Yeah, well, then we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I'm not entirely convinced that this was the right thing to do. Now we're just going to start wrapping. And then when I wrap, I'm also going to make sure to brush that back. And I'm not sure, yeah, some of this is coming out, but we'll see. We'll see how this, see how it plays out here. Half of this might come out, but it looks like most of it is in there decently. But a few of the smaller pieces are coming undone, which is what happens sometimes. And I'll probably have to give some of this a trim as well. Because I never know exactly if... It's always kind of a mystery when I've done this, just to see how it looks in the end. But we'll see. All right, so that... I'm about as tight as I want to go here, actually. So I'm just going to tie this off. Like that. And then give that a snip. And then do a few securing wraps here. So that actually worked out pretty good. The copper pieces seem to be staying in there pretty good. It was just initially there. Maybe I just put in too much or what have you, but it seems all right at the moment. And I haven't broken off my thread yet, knock on wood. Okay, so now I'm ready to tie in my marabou. That actually turned out pretty good there. And I'm just going to tie in, I just have a little marabou feather here, which I'm going to tie in from the stem first. Usually I do tip first, but not today, just because I think just the way this feather is, it should. I don't want to have too much here, but it's just enough to give it a bit of an accent here, and it'll give obviously it will give the whole jig a bit more action. And I'm going to try to cover up that piece there. All right. Tie that off. And then give that a few. Yeah. And then we're ready for a whip finish. I'm just going to brush the marabou back a bit. And yeah, then we'll be ready to go. Yeah, that should be good. Pull that tight. Boom. All right. Yeah. Maybe I'm just going to put a dab of some UV clear finish on there. Just using some of this ultra thin, or is this just thin? This is just thin, but maybe I can actually get that in there without, I don't want to get any of that on the marabou really, but yeah, that should be enough. And then I'll just kind of work that around. Yeah. But there it is. the whatever you want to call this. Yeah, little mix of dragon tail, coyote, and copper dubbing dubbed in, and then a little marabou collar. I think it's a nice nice little jig. Maybe we'll put this in the tank here and see how it looks in the water. All right, so we got her in the tank here. Let's see what it looks like. And so that's how I probably fish this. I'm going to fish this off bottom and just give it little hops like that along the way as I move it along. I don't think I'll be swimming this. If I do, maybe give it some popping action like that, but mostly I think I'm fishing this off bottom and then just hopping it along like that. That dragon tail has a lot of nice action. Obviously the marabou flares up nice, and then the copper dubbing gives it some good flash and sparkle. But yeah, it's actually pretty good. I might actually use this one, give it a try. So yeah, thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate it. Have a good one.